Hey everybody, welcome to Root Awakening TV. Come on into my kitchen today. We're going to be cooking all things maple syrup. Now, if you'll notice in the chat, we have got red mill maple syrup. Welcome first time chat. This whole show is about red mill maple syrup. So this week, we toured a really great farm at 1232 Drayel, is that how I'm saying? Drayel line in Millbrook, Ontario. And it was a fun tour. This maple syrup farm is run by Sebastian Poulin. It's owned and run by Sebastian Poulin. And it was started in Quebec City by Sebastian's grandfather. Sebastian moved to Ontario in 2011 with wife and kids, bought a farm in Millbrook, Ontario, and decided to make a hobby farm out of maple syrup. He started off with 200 taps, and it's gone from a maple syrup farm, hobby farm, to a business farm, and it's managed, I can say, by his son, Jeremy. So Jeremy and his dad share this vision, and this vision of that maple syrup farm is to promote the hometown, and it all comes back to the hometown that they're in, Millbrook, Ontario. So we toured it, and we had a great time, and Jeremy was a great host. They really want to build this association with Millbrook, and they're doing it. And every place you go, I have discovered, every place you go in this community, they would say, they know what we do, they know that we're doing these farm tours, and they'll say, oh, where were you this week? And we said Red Mill Maple Syrup Farm. The response is always the same. Oh yeah, it's Jeremy. I love that kid. And you know, we go someplace else, and we went to a coffee shop, and the owner said, oh, you visited Jeremy. Love that guy. Love that kid. And you know, calling him a kid is not fair, because this is a young man who is passionate about maple syrup farming, and he is going to make this business his own someday, I'm pretty sure of it. For now, Sebastian and his dad work together, and we are going to be making some delicious things with maple syrup. We were able to snag a few bottles of maple syrup while we were there. Wow, Allison's here, yay, thank you for showing up today. Mobo Reno's here. I'm just going to take a few minutes with my chat. I have to tell you that this was a really fun farm tour, because this was an owner-operator on the farm that was really excited to be part of this food community building, and we loved being there. We have got some maple syrup. This is a limited edition, and it's a very dark one, and yes, you'll see there's a lot gone. And no, nobody was walking by the cupboard and swigging this like it was a bottle of booze. Nobody was doing that. I wasn't doing that. That was just strictly use. Yeah, nobody was. Food community building is right. That's what we're trying to do. And Jeremy's in the chat right now. Jeremy is a fun person, and he made it a place that we could collaborate. We felt the collaboration. And December 17th, Jeremy, we're going to talk to you about that in a bit, but Jeremy made a comment during our tour. You know, I just wanted to make some light comment, and I said, so what do you think? Do you know how to cook? Expecting the response that you would of a young man saying, yeah, I make some grilled cheese sandwiches or stuff like that. Oh no, Jeremy quite confidently said, I know my way around the kitchen. Okay, we're challenging Jeremy to that. So on December 17th, he's coming to my studio, he's coming to ruin my kitchen, and we're going to have some fun with that. Yeah, it's a pretty clean kitchen. I get a little uncomfortable, Jeremy, coming in here. Let's see. And you'll notice my new apron, loving the new print from Prism Embroidery and Lindsay, loving the new print. I don't think Jeremy's going to get such a cool looking apron though. I think I've got something planned for him. So anyway, Jeremy is going to come here, but the challenge is he's not choosing the menu. I've chosen the menu. I'm not letting him in on what the menu is. So I am going to be showing Jeremy, because you know, he was pretty cocky that day. Oh, I know my way around the kitchen. So I'm going to give him some ingredients, And he has to create with it and figure out what, don't mess it up, Mobo Reno. And he has to figure out what we're cooking and make something of it. Hey, Sebastian's in the chat. Yay. Sebastian is Jeremy's dad. Sebastian is the owner of Red Mill Maple Syrup. And he was incognito. We didn't meet him, but you could feel his presence, and you could feel the presence in Jeremy, because Jeremy has been raised to be with a work ethic that you don't find very often. So congratulations to Sebastian, because someone's instilled those work ethics. Now, we're going to start off with our drink o'clock. So today, I got some maple butter too. Today, we're going to be making a cranberry cocktail with a maple syrup. And I like the idea of maple syrup and bourbon. The warmth of those two things really sounds yummy. I have one thing to do. Before I make drink o'clock, I have to get things going. I'll explain to you what I just did, but let me get to that first. Okay, so we're going to make this bourbon maple syrup drink. So it's got a little bit of cranberry in it. Now, what I find that when I make a drink with a syrup, like maple syrup or honey, you put it on the ice and it goes into a clump. So I tried it beforehand, but what I noticed is this dark amber maple syrup did not do that. So yummy, yummy. Let's start off with the star of the show. We are going to start off with 1 shot of maple syrup on ice. I know, no, nobody's been swigging this. Nobody's been walking by the cupboard who has a cold and swigging this so that nobody else would have it. No, that didn't happen. I don't know. I think it got spilled. And Jeremy, when he comes to cook, is supposed to be bringing us some more, because we need this in the kitchen. We need this in our lives because it's delicious. We're going to have 2 ounces of bourbon. 2 ounces of bourbon in each drink. Uh-oh.
Really?
No, you think, I know. No, it's 12 o'clock. Let's not do that. And besides,
I do have to push the right button.
yeah, and I've discovered too that, hey, happy Sunday, Darth, happy Sunday, welcome. Okay, so that's some bourbon. We're going to put in a little bit of Grand Marnier.
See, streamer?
Streamer in the house. So Darth is a streamer. Oh, yeah, I know who Darth is. What's the stream called again? Half a shot of Grand Marnier. Okay, so we've got bourbon, Grand Marnier, maple syrup. Tom's still booming. We're going to put in 4 shots. I'm not going to measure it out. 4 shots of cranberry juice. Don't choose cranberry cocktail. Too sweet. You don't need it. So just top it up with a little bit of cranberry juice, 100% juice. And then I'm going to garnish it with an orange. Could even put the orange juice in it, but we do have the Grand Marnier, so. Look at that, right on the top like that. Hey, Nicole's here. Welcome, Nicole. Welcome, welcome. I know you've got hockey to go to. Listen, the star of this show is our maple syrup. The host of our tour was Jeremy Poulin. His dad, Sebastian, owns the farm. It's in Millbrook, Ontario, kind of about 40 minutes from here. Yeah. Further than we actually realized because we were late for the tour. But Jeremy is a hockey player, and I have a feeling he might be, marginal. However, it really doesn't matter anymore because he told us he's a Montreal Canadiens fan. And yeah, Boston Bruins in the house, so there's a little, no. So there's a little bit of rivalry. Now I'm going to taste this. You get yours next.
I'm cooking. Oh, no.
Okay, that might be the best one. Oh, go Habs, go. No, Habs, no. Okay, this is delicious. The maple syrup at the bottom, it coated my straw. So when I taste it, I love bourbon. No, I love the idea of bourbon. I don't know why. I always love the idea that bourbon is going to be this warm, delicious drink. And then I drink it and I think, oh, what is that? surprise brand. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, okay, I'm reading Streamline. Merch in the house, so go find that if you want to wear a shirt or a hat that says Rude. Okay, I'm really glad I didn't go with the 2 shots of bourbon. I think it would have been too much. So, look at my lovely Christmas decor from Mobile Reno. So anyway, this tour, this was the neatest thing because we saw fleur-de-lis in the corner, which beckoned back to the Quebec roots, the Quebec origin of this farm. And here they are on this really, really picturesque farm, and we were taken out into the forested area, and it was freezing cold, and you know, Jeremy, true to the lumberjack kind of Quebecois origin, he had a little plaid shirt on and was fine, and I was just standing there doing this. So tough guy, and we really enjoyed being out in that forest because it was peaceful, it was quiet, there was no snow on the ground, and we can see where the taps we're going to be going in. You'll see all of that in the video. So we've got the tour coming up. Oh, actually, we've got our drink o'clock. I think we should start the tour now and let you see before we start cooking. And we're cooking maple syrup things today. We're going to be cooking butternut puree with maple syrup in it, and we're going to be doing a maple glazed salmon. Let's go! I'm excited. Okay, as long as there's no mention about Montreal Canadiens, we'll show you this tour. Welcome to part 4 of our series, Straight to the Source. Today, we're at Red Mill Maple Syrup at 1232 Dale Line in Millbrook, Ontario. This farm is owned by the Poulin family. We're going to go in and find out what happens on a maple farm. We're here with Jeremy from Red Mill Maple Syrup. He's part of the family, and we just came into this. We saw what were happening. Now, all of these tap lines make me think of Home Alone because I can just see everybody being snagged on these. I'm not sure if that's the purpose, but I doubt it. No. So, Jeremy, I want to tell you that we did a little bit of research on Red Mill. And I've been following your social media posts, and I noticed that this farm is out here because I'm a food producer and I like to see what's available in the community. Yep. And all of a sudden, Red Mill popped out, and your posts were different. And your face was the face of the Instagram, was the social media face, and it took on a different dynamic. And I thought, oh, I bet that's a grandson because, you know, being a little bit more social media savvy, and I started to notice that. Then I did some research and realized this is a multi-generational farm. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Essentially, the story of our brand is that it all started with my grandpa, which this property hasn't been in the family. This property has been in the family it's my dad's property, right? So it's been in the family since 2011. So my grandpa, he was always in the maple syrup industry. He started, his company was like making basically like we have an evaporator there. I'll show you that later.
Sure, that'd be great.
But it's like he would make like pans and basically take sheet metal and make maple syrup equipment out of it, right?
Oh.
So he started that in the 1980s. During that time, 1980s was a tougher time, just economically, and it didn't work out. The company did not work out. He had to shut it down, but he always had that like the tick for the maple syrup industry.
So when you say that didn't work out, was that in Quebec or
that was in Quebec? Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So that was in Quebec. So so it didn't work out, and he always had a sort of like a tick for maple syrup. Like ever since I've grown up, it's always been the talk around. It's always been like the thing to talk about, like when we go to like family dinners and this and that. So then what happened was when my dad was born, all that, grew up, everything, my dad moved to Ontario, this and that, and then they bought a cottage together in Maynooth. And over there, that's when their journey started. And in Maynooth, that's about 40 minutes away from Bancroft. So that's where their maple syrup sort of journey started. We had a little cottage over there with a compost toilet and they built a little sugar shack on there. We had 200 taps, all on buckets. And then over there, that's where they figured out what kind of grind the maple syrup kind of is. It's it's a hardworking, it's
So
a labor of love.
So at that point, it
Yep.
was a hobby farm. It wasn't a business farm.
Yeah.
So then when you moved to Millbrook,
Yep.
then was it a hobby farm still, or was it a business farm?
So basically my dad's dream was to buy a property, like a house with like a sugar bush on it, right? So he bought this property. We have 1,000 taps on this property, and then we rent another bush that's got 400 taps. So we've got 1,400 taps of like trees to tap, basically. So we've got 14 acres of property that have maple trees on them. And then so then that was that's how it started. My dad kind of got involved with that, and then my grandpa would come help us out here as well. And then when I started, we rebranded in 2017, because before this, my dad called it Sugar Rush Maple Bush. He thought kind of like, because it's cool, because the maple syrup is sort of like a gold rush, right? Like you only do it during 2 months of the year, and it's go, 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 and then once it's done, it's done. So it's kind of like a gold rush. So his take on it was let's call it Sugar Rush Maple Bush. And then my dad works full time as well, so it's like this is basically our heart and soul. And then like we were just pounding at it, and then we rebranded in 2017 to Red Mill Maple Syrup, which is sort of an association to, well, it is the association to Millbrook, like our hometown. Because there's a Needler's Mill in Millbrook, and it's like sort of like it's a pretty big piece of history for Millbrook. So this kind of brand is always, no matter how big we grow, it's always going to come back. It's always kind of straight to the source, always in Millbrook. So
Jeremy's brought us to the Sugar Shack, and he's going to show us around, and he's also going to show us what's happening now and what's going to happen in the future. So where are we at?
So here we're in the Sugar Shack currently. This is the main show. Of course, we're not boiling right now because we're shooting this we're November 28th right now. I'm pretty sure it's coming out December 4th, but this is our evaporator. So essentially, this is what my grandpa would manufacture these right here, these pans. He would manufacture like this, pans, tanks, all for the maple syrup industry. But anyways, this is the evaporator, which is essentially, since it's not boiling right now, I'm going to try to explain to you the concept of what an evaporator does. So essentially you have 3 compartments, right? So you've got the back pan. This is called a fluke pan. So this back pan over here, it's larger, and also inside it's not the same as these ones. Inside these ones, there's it's like essentially, instead of being a flat bottom, it's like the bottom is in like waves, right? So it's just so that there's more surface area to boil the sap.
Okay, so you're going to tell us how the season progresses. So let's say it's March.
Yep.
What's happening?
Okay, in March, March it's already started. Usually the season starts we start tapping around like Valentine's Day, so like February.
Oh, that early.
Yeah, because it's just my dad and I, so it takes us like usually 2-3 days to get everything done, because every year you need to drill a new hole.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, because I mean a tree is like you and I, right? Like a tree needs time to heal up, right? So every year you drill a new hole into the tree, because that's what's going to keep it from running, right?
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
So the old hole from last year won't run because the tree's scarring up, right? Because it's a living thing.
Yeah,
so you have to respect it that way too. The ideal day for maple syrup production, like for the sap to run, would be -5 at night and 5 during the day. You just want it to have like a nice you just want it to like change in temperature, because essentially what it's doing is that the trees during the winter time are like enter into like a dormant phase. So essentially maple syrup production happens when the trees are starting to like come out of their dormant phase and are like sending nutrients up and down the tree. That's the sap, right? It's just nutrients that are going up and down the tree. We can go in the forest too.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. Sure.
Yeah.
Would you be considered the manager? Are you? Is that what your role?
I'm sort of like the eyes behind everything, but I try not to put myself. I've tried now. I'm sort of like managing it from the back end, but I try to peek myself here and there. But I try to showcase my dad and my grandpa as much as I can.
Of course.
'Cause that's the story behind it. But I can see the vision of like what we can turn our story into.
So we're out in the forest. Are there some trees that produce more sap than others?
Yes, there is. Okay, so a tree is ready to be have one tap in it, so one hole drilled in the tree once it's at 8 inches in diameter. So I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. The syrup doesn't come straight out. We get that question a lot. Does the syrup come straight out of the tree? That's not true. The sap comes straight out of the tree, and maple sap is essentially water with like 2 to 3% sugar. The sugar content at the beginning of the season is usually pretty low, but then once the season kind of evolves, it gets better.
More condensed.
Yeah, exactly. But you see this tree right here. This tree's so every 8 inches you can add 1 tap. So this one's got 2.
Okay.
So usually what I do with my hands, I like spread them out like that, because usually from here to here is 8 inches. So I go like that, and then, because when we're tapping like a new bush, you have to decide whether this tree can have 2 or 3. Even this one's almost at 3, because, well, no.
So 2 taps on this.
Yeah, there's 2 taps on here, and you can see all the, you can see the scarring. See there's a scar right there. Because if every day you wake up and you can just be yourself and have fun, that's how it'll be fun.
Jeremy's now brought us into the Red Mill Farm Store, and he's going to show us around, tell us what the hours are, what they sell here, just what this is all about. Do you have an online presence where they can shop, that they can online shop?
Sure. Yeah. You can go on redmillmaplesyrup.ca. Sorry for the plug, but you can go on redmillmaplesyrup.ca, and we've got everything on there. That's that, and then we're in a lot of small retail shops and grocery stores and gift shops around Peterborough County, Peterborough County, Durham Region, Northumberland, and like all the way up to like Lindsay, like Kawartha Lakes. We also have a hot sauce. Well, it's like a kind of like a marinade, wicked Thai maple ginger, which there's another lady in Millbrook. Her name's Suzanne. I love Suzanne to death, but she makes a wicked Thai maple ginger sauce with our maple syrup. We also have jam that's made sweetened with our maple syrup as well. But everything maple, like our maple butter, cinnamon maple butter, everything like that is all produced by us. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
tell us about the swag and the merch other than the maple syrup.
Oh, the swag. And
let's see your shirt.
Yeah. So this is a little project I've been working on.
I like it.
Nothing too special, but essentially it's basically just the lumberjack look, and then we're carrying our home on our backs, because Millbrook is like, I've been kind of raised up in Millbrook my whole life, so it's our hometown, and I feel like it's my hometown. It might not be my dad's hometown because he's from Quebec, but as I see like growing this brand, like we want to always take care of our community first. So this is our motto. Basically, our home is our motto for the rest of the year of 2022. We're trying to finish off the year right, and you'll see in the next coming weeks that we're gonna try to do more initiatives to promote our home to be like, I won't say exactly what we're planning, but you'll see it on, if you keep an eye on it.
I've seen it starting,
Instagram, but we're gonna start doing stuff to just make sure our home's taken care of.
So you were telling us about one of the next step is a taste testing bar. Tell us about that.
Yep. So we got a tourism grant. So this summer, we applied to like a tourism grant. It's called the Spark Grant. And this grant was essentially where you could pitch your idea. It was kind of like a mini like Dragon's Den for me, kind of like a little warm up. But basically, what we had to do was come up with a tourism idea to see to enhance like our overall experience here. And our brand is essentially like what my dad and I's vision is of like Red Mill and like where it's heading is that our goal isn't to be the biggest producers of maple syrup at all.
Okay.
Our goal is to showcase the beauty of maple syrup. And a lot of people don't know exactly what goes behind maple syrup, and as well they don't know the differences in taste that maple syrup can have as well, right?
How is maple syrup graded? I use maple syrup in a product, and I like the dark. I like grade B, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Tell us how that works.
All right, so in maple syrup there's 4 different grades of your regular, like when you're making all natural pure maple syrup straight from the source, right? You've got 4 different grades. You've got, I'll show you in these bottles.
Oh, I see it. I see the difference just visibly.
Yep, so you can see this color right here. I'll put it in the light. This is a golden. So essentially golden is 75 light transmission and over. So I don't have my refractometer out here right now, but you can see this color. This means that there's 75% or more light that goes through the substance. That's how we
Okay,
that's how we grade it.
This is good for pancakes, that kind of thing?
This is just a really delicate. I can have a taste. We can do a tasting like she would this too. But this is like basically this one's really delicate, light maple flavor, not too strong. It doesn't linger with like it doesn't. There's no aftertaste. It's just a nice clean maple flavor.
I'll hold that one for you.
Yep, for sure. And then this is the amber, which you can see it's a little bit more of a richer color. Amber also, like, there we have different, like, there's different, amber can go, like, there's different, like, you see the color. These are both amber, but there's 2 different, like, because there's a range in between these. You can have, like, a darker amber or a lighter amber. But amber is in between 50 and 75 light transmission. So essentially what this means is that 50 to 75% of light goes through this product.
Okay.
So that's the range. And then this is the darker one, which dark is in between 25 and 50. So this one's more of a caramel, butterscotch kind of taste. You'll taste it more on like the roof of your mouth, also on the back of your tongue. This one's more of a caramel. Also, a lot of people think that the difference in color is because it's not boiled enough or one's thinner than the other, but that's not the truth. They're all at maple syrup. To be considered maple syrup needs to be at 66% sugar content. These are all at 66%, and the unit of measurement for sugar is bricks. So these are at 66 degree bricks. So they're all the same consistency. This is our bourbon. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is our bourbon barrel aged. Yeah.
That's delicious.
Yep. This is our bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. So it's aged in a bourbon cask for 6 months.
Really?
Yep. So what the bourbon cask does is that it gives it sort of like a...
It's incredible.
It gives it a nice little... it's really good on vanilla ice cream. Thing is with this, that's why we have it in a little 200 ml bottle, is that you don't want to use it in your... Like, I know you do a lot of baking. You don't want to use this product in your baking. You want to use this as a finisher.
Okay, so what I've noticed too is I'll be talking to my viewers about substituting sugar for maple syrup. You don't think this one would be good in baking?
This one,
This is a
well, in
topper.
baking, you want to use something that's a little bit less quality than this.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that you want to use as like a drizzle on like something that's light. Like if you want to have like cheesecake, if you want
Or
to have
custard,
like,
something like that.
something that's just light, so that this is because this is such a good product, you don't want to waste it.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes
Right?
sense.
So that's the idea behind it, right? I might have something a little bit better though.
One.
This one's the very dark, because what I had you taste was the dark stuff.
Wow. So, oh, I see. Okay.
This one's what's in that bottle.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks. Oh, yeah. Look how dark that is.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like this.
That's why we use this whole thing on a ham, pretty much.
Oh, that's nice. So, is this one that I would cook with, or is this us
This one-
finishing?
This one you cook with it, yeah.
Yeah, I will too.
It's got the...
Cheers.
Cheers. See how strong it is?
I have never tasted anything like that.
That's why it's our limit. That's why we kept it as a limited
Yeah.
edition to release now.
This one's even got like a tang on to it.
This one's like a crazy caramel kind of taste.
It is, and this would be really good. Something I'm going to make in the stream is some blintz, crepes with like a blintz filling in it.
Yep.
All right, we are leaving Red Mill, and we want to thank Jeremy for taking us on this little journey. This is a young man that I think has a real future in this business. We're taking home some goods. We were going to be cooking with this on our stream. Bye. Okay, was that not fun? When Jeremy says, you know, I'm just doing this to showcase my dad and my grandfather, that's a real humbling moment that I saw Jeremy in. Just a great tour, and that dark amber, the bourbon maple syrup that that it was in the tiny little flask. We really wanted to like just shove Jeremy out of the sugar, the farm store, lock the door and down it all because it was delicious. And we've got some coming because like he said, that's a topper, a finisher, and it's really nice. It will be delicious on a creme brulee. Like he said, vanilla ice cream. I see so many more other things for it. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about is equivalents. So if you want to change, like when we did the honey tour, we talked about how to cook with honey. If you want to take an equivalent and cook with maple syrup, you can. So as you'll see here, if you're cooking as a liquid, you can cook with it as 1-to-1. So let's say you're making butter tarts or you're making a pecan pie and you want to use, instead of the corn syrup, instead of the honey, you want to use maple syrup, it's 1-to-1. Now, if you're now going over to a cake, you'll see 2/3 cup. So you can do it like that, or you can remove 1/3 cup of your dry ingredients and it'll equate. You just can't put granulated sugar and maple syrup as an equal exchange when you're doing something in a dry ingredient. Yes, Jeremy Bruiser, you're right. Jeremy was a cutie, and we had a great time, and we were very surprised, and it was really humbling to see such a young person so knowledgeable about his craft, and his dad should be proud. We're going to now start making our dishes. So while that video was on, we boiled, simmered a little bit of some butternut squash. So what I want to show you, and Bruiser on the chat is a chef, and so he knows what I'm talking about. When you steam or boil butternut squash or sweet potatoes, in the water, I put a stick of cinnamon. It gives it a nice warmer taste. And then I discard that. So we're going to put the butternut squash that is very soft, tender with a fork. We're going to put that into a food processor because it's the easiest way to make a nice unified puree. So yeah, if you enjoyed that video, it will be on YouTube. You can see it. While we're speaking about that, we're really we're promoting our channels, of course, and we're also promoting our giveaway on December 18th. if you could go to our YouTube channel, it's Bitchin' Kitchen, and if you could like, follow, all those things. We're trying to build our numbers up, as everybody who does this business is. And if you're not following me on Twitch, if you could do that as well. So we've got 1 full butternut squash, about 4 cups of chopped pieces, and we're going to put in about a tablespoon of unsalted butter. It's really important, you know, these things about when do I use salted and when do I use unsalted, it's important to do that and follow a recipe. Oh, Rude, you changed my life with the roasted garlic. Yay, the roasted garlic frozen dollops. Those are good. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of ginger, and you're like, oh my God, the woman's using jarred ginger. I use jarred ginger. I sometimes use jarred garlic. We will today when I really want something to incorporate smoothly. I don't want anything to stand out. Okay? Sorry, I'm trying to... how stupid was I roasting garlic every time I needed it? Yes, I know. Well, it wasn't stupid, but it was maybe just a little bit more time than you needed to take. We're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. There's where we add back our salt. It's a very subtle salt. And we are going to then put in a little bit of black pepper. So I'm hoping Jeremy felt comfortable with that video. He did a great job. He was very comfortable. In fact, I think he was, wanting to push me out of the way and take over the camera. Very comfortable on a camera. That's good. That is a sign of a confident creature. And then we put in some pepper, and we're going to put in 1 grated garlic clove. This is Merkaba Acres garlic. It's huge. I have to cut it in half. What are you making with the squash? We're going to make a puree because I'm going to be doing a maple glazed salmon, and this is going to be the bed that it sits on. So then I'm putting in this garlic. I like to use a press now and again because you can see, look at that, you get a really nice mush. You get a really nice puree. Sure, you have got left the casing. The casing can be put into a stock, if you're in the middle of making a stock. To tell you the truth, I keep a little bag in my freezer of those kinds of things. I put it in there. When I'm making stock, it goes into it. We want a good amount of garlic in this. You don't often see garlic in a butternut puree. This is just a change up from maybe using a sweet potato. It's also another starchy, carotene-rich ingredient that we can use today. All right, we'll put that in there, and then we're going to puree that. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the star of the show. I forgot the maple syrup. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of maple syrup in this. So this is the very dark one that he said is great for cooking. Jeremy was saying this is good for cooking. This one, I think, is the bottle that I keep in my kitchen. You can use this on pancakes and that kind of usage of it, but that's sort of like the workhorse of my kitchen now. All right, I'm going to take this over to the food processor. Not yet. Okay, we're going to keep it in the food processor so it stays warm, and we're going to go over and start our salmon. When we get the salmon cooking, we're going to make a little sauce for it. Very simple sauce, and Tom's going to put up the recipe, and you're going to see that. Just going to cool that for a minute because that is wicked. All right, so if you can see the maple salmon glaze, let's get that mixed. Another tablespoon of maple syrup. You can't stop using the maple syrup. I put in a little bit more, and that's okay. And then we're going to put in a 1/3 cup of Dijon mustard. That seems like a lot, but that is that is the base of this. The syrup I could have done this earlier to save you this. And then we come up with, yes, my little spatula. Bruiser, you want this spatula. You do. So there's a lot of mustard in here. Yes, there is. I'm letting my cast iron pan cool a little bit because I was burning my oil. Okay, so I've got the mustard, the maple syrup, and then I'm going to put in a little bit, no, the butter doesn't go in, we're going to put in some ginger. Where's my ginger? A little bit of ginger in here. And some salt and pepper. And a couple cloves of garlic. Yep, garlic's coming, yep. The ginger's not in that recipe, but ginger is good in all of these things. I'm going to put in a little bit of garlic. I use the jarred garlic for things like this. 2 cloves of that. And then I'm going to put in just a little bit of water, and that's just to emulsify this. Okay, we're going to mix that up. Now, the recipe also calls for some butter. Don't put that into the sauce. That goes on to the salmon. So, I'm going to put my pan back on the hot pot. Here's my salmon. What you want to do, make sure that you pat it dry. Maple mustard miso. Huh, okay. You know, I'm not a really big fish eater, so today I decided, yes, let's go for it. We're not fish eater people here, but I do like salmon, and that's probably one of the meats that people will, or fish that people will eat. So I'm patting it dry a bit, and then I'm going to sear it in the pan. If it sticks, it's not ready. All right, so I'm going to put the puree on the dish. Like I said, we had a great time on the tour with Jeremy. He did indicate that he is a hockey player, so that kind of connected us in that way. So we started talking to him about hockey. Other than being a Habs fan, I think he plays for Port Perry team. He can correct us if he's still in the chat. And he is going to be cooking here, but like he was saying too, he has a lot of practices. A little bit of water in here. Oh, maybe that's from my plate. I didn't dry it enough. Because this shouldn't, I could have drained it maybe a bit more. This puree smells divine. That maple syrup is right there. Can't go wrong with butternut squash and maple syrup. So I'm just going to lay that out like that. So we were talking to Jeremy. Port Perry Wolves, is that you? I don't know.
Lumberjacks.
Ah, the Lumberjacks. Okay, so that's who Jeremy plays for. I'm not sure if we asked him about position he plays. He has all his teeth, so I don't think he's a goalie. All right, we've got that. Let that now sear on the other side. You're not going to turn that again. And you're going to take a little bit of, is this the one that's unsalted? I don't think I have it read. I think I'm going to use salted. So now you're going to put a little bit of butter on both of those. This butter, this butter is just going to make, it's going to moisten, of course, the meat. It's also going to let the sauce adhere to it, stay on it, glaze it nicer. Okay, so the sauce is going to also be going, oops, I don't want to wreck my new pan. Sauce is going around it, or the butter is going around it, nice. All right, you can see it loosening, it's cooking through. Give that a little bit to cook. Now, we did imagine that, we came home, we were talking about Jeremy and his hockey, and we were talking about what does it look like when Jeremy goes to a hockey practice? we weren't sure if this is how accurate it looks, but maybe his mom and dad could verify. This is what we think it looks like when Jeremy goes to hockey practice. So I don't know if that's anything what it looks like, but you know, you got to give that guy some credit. He ruined his skates for that shot. He ruined his skates, but I like the fact that he has to have a shot of maple syrup before. Okay, we've got really nice, we've got some really nice salmon fillets in here. The butter is just starting to melt around it, give it a nice golden color. Yeah, the crazy. That shot was worth something to him. And then we're going to put on, no, let's see if Bruiser can remember what. That's the secret, is the shot of maple syrup. I think so. So we've got maple syrup. I wish I had $1 for every time we said maple syrup in the stream. We have Dijon mustard. Let's go back over that. We've got some ginger. We've got some salt, pepper, and some garlic. All of that now is going to go on to the top of these fillets. We are going to let that, yeah, I may have turned it down a little bit too much. You know, I'm really having a hard time cooking with this stovetop thing. It's either there or it's not. So we've got the pureed squash, pureed butternut squash. We've got the salmon just starting to come back to a really nice heat. What we're going to top that off with is probably a little bit of dill, a little bit of for flavor, and a little bit of parsley for a nice color. And I want to finish up our stream today showing you the traditional pancakes. So let's go into, but I'm not going to just do pancakes. Let's put this aside while our salmon's starting to look really good. While I go into what you can actually do with a crepe and a little bit of a blintz filling. So I took, now you want to have some ricotta cheese, great. You can also economize this dish with using some cottage cheese, some sugar, and that's it. This is cottage cheese and sugar, and then I'm going to put in a little bit of some lemon zest. You'll notice I do the lemon zester upside down. That's so I can see exactly how much I'm getting. I'm going to do the whole lemon. So you can use this as a breakfast, a brunch. You could use this as a dessert. And then I'm going to put a little bit of fresh grated nutmeg in there. So a couple cups of ricotta or cottage cheese, some sugar, some lemon zest, and some fresh grated nutmeg. We're going to stir that up, and we're going to add that to a crepe, but that's not it. This is the maple syrup show. Wait till you see what we do with that. Okay, so it smells very good, very nice. So earlier this morning, I made some crepes. I knew we wouldn't have enough time to do that. And I'm going to show you how to fill them. Simple. You could make these the day before and assemble them quickly for your dessert or for your breakfast. I can hear my salmon cooking over there. So take a crepe. I think I have 2, which wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Yeah, I had 2. So we take a crepe, add some of the blintz filling. You could add some blueberries in here if you wanted to. That would be nice too, very Canadiana again. And then tuck the sides in and roll them. No, we're going to do a few of those. Here my salmon. Oh, I cheesed out. I I cheated that one a bit. Let's take another crepe. So I have got a recipe, a 6-egg recipe for crepes. And that makes a fair amount. It makes about 20, 22, depending on how thick you make it. So I'm just filling these, tuck them a little bit. Roll those like that. This one should be a little bit longer, but it's not. And then I like to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar on that. And then, of course, what do we do with the maple syrup? Now we got some good action going on over here. Then we take the maple syrup and drizzle that. So in here we've got a little bit of lemon with that maple syrup. You can dust that with sugar if you'd like to. In my opinion, it's pretty sweet. For presentation, sure, a little bit of icing sugar on there and a little bit of blueberries would be nice. You could also put some lemon zest on there. So we are going to plate up our salmon now because we've got a really good glaze going. Now, you know, this isn't a real hot, so I didn't get a real hot pan, so I didn't get the seared look, but the smell is divine. What I'm getting is a lot of the mustard smell on it. Let's get a spoon and take some of this glaze. I'm going to put a little bit of dill on it. This is dill weed that I did myself, so I like dill and salmon. I don't know anybody who doesn't. I'm going to put a little bit of that. It smells great. And then I'm going to put a little bit of parsley, just for that nice color.
Maple sriracha.
Maple sriracha. That sounds... Maple sriracha combo. That sounds really good. I love having a chef on the stream. They always stretch us out. Thistle and Oak is rating with a party of 5. Thistle and Oak is another streamer that always comes over after they're done their stream. Today they were making burgers. Welcome, Thistle and Oak. So today we toured a maple farm, and it was in Millbrook, Ontario. So yes, this Thistle and Oak, they're from Tennessee, so we're going to explain to them the Canadiana here. We toured a maple farm in Millbrook, Ontario, owned by the Poulin family, and we brought home some maple syrup, and today we're cooking all things maple syrup. So what we have is a butternut squash with maple syrup and some salmon fillets with a little bit of a Dijon maple syrup sauce. And then we made some ricotta cottage cheese blintzes in a crepe drizzled with maple syrup. Just delicious food, and this means lunch is definitely going to slap here. So I want to bring to your attention this farm, Miss Maple Syrup Farm. You can order online, no matter where you're at. Even if you're, I think, in the United States. Did Jeremy say it was Canada only?
I'm not sure.
I'm not drinking the bourbon drink anymore. Anyway, Thistle and Oak, I don't think you can order from them, but my Canadian viewers, you can order online and they will send it to you. And they have merch, they have candies, they have popcorn, all maple products that they make themselves. Really, really delicious things. So I would like to just take time to thank the Poulin family for trusting us to come on. Yeah, thank you for trusting us and having us come onto your farm and showing us around. We really appreciate it, and we really had a good time. Please give their website a look. There's still plenty of time to order maple syrup in order to get Christmas presents in, and who doesn't like to receive maple syrup products for Christmas? And I know my family, I just gave that away, is going to be receiving a little bit of their products. So we're going to go have lunch. In the meantime, is there anything we're supposed to bring up?
Maybe tell us this one out the drink you made.
Oh, thistle and oat, the drink we made was maple syrup. We had a shot of bourbon, a half shot of Grand Marnier, topped it off with a cranberry juice, not cocktail. There was a maple syrup on the bottom, and we garnished with an orange. It's delicious. It's very delicious. I just have to let you know, I topped mine up with water because, like I said, I want bourbon to work for me. And every time I drink it, I think, yeah, you know, that's a little strong for me.
The recipe was 2 shots?
The recipe called for 2 shots of bourbon. We can't do it. The maple syrup's delicious in it. So thank you to Sebastian, Jeremy, and the entire Poulin family for having us on their farm. Please go look at their website, see what they have to offer. And next week, we are going to be doing some Christmas baking, and we're going to be making some really traditional Christmas cookie things. And in the meantime, please watch Speakeasy Channel. That's my affiliate channel. And go see what they're doing. Last night's show was really, really funny. Friday night's show was really funny. Go see what they're doing. In the meantime, keep cooking, keep nourishing yourself and those you love. But for now, this kitchen is closed.